From A-list megastars to beloved TV actors, these celebrities became entangled in groups that controlled their money, their relationships, and sometimes even their children. Some escaped and spoke out, others remain devoted to this day. This is the disturbing truth about Hollywood and cults. Well, let's start with the big one, Scientology. This organization has become almost synonymous with celebrity involvement, and for good reason. Founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard in 1953, Scientology presents itself as a religion based on his book, Dianetics. But critics, including many former members, describe something far more sinister. A controlling organization that separates families, demands massive financial contributions, and allegedly harasses anyone who dares to leave. We start with the most popular person from this organization, Tom Cruise, the poster boy. No one represents Scientology's Hollywood connection more than Tom Cruise. When his first wife, Mimi Rogers, introduced him to the organization in 1986, nobody could have predicted he'd become one of its most powerful members. Remember that infamous 2005 interview where Cruise jumped on Oprah's couch? Or when he told Matt Lauer, "You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do." Many believe Scientology's influence was showing, but the real cost became clear in Cruise's personal life. His marriage to Katie Holmes ended abruptly in 2012, with reports suggesting she fled partly to protect their daughter Suri from being raised in Scientology. Due to the organization's disconnection policy, which requires members to cut off contact with critics, Cruise has reportedly become estranged from Suri. Think about that. One of the world's biggest movie stars separated from his daughter because of an organization's rules. On John Travolta, the Believer. John Travolta joined Scientology in 1975 at age 21. Unlike Cruise, Travolta has kept a lower profile, but his devotion runs just as deep. He credits Scientology with helping him overcome dyslexia. His late wife, Kelly Preston, was also a member until her death in 2020, but tragedy struck the family in 2009 when their 16-year-old son, Jet, died from a seizure. Some question whether Scientology's well-documented opposition to psychiatric medication played a role, though Travolta maintained his son was on medication. Despite everything, Travolta continues to defend the organization that's been central to his life for nearly 50 years. Elizabeth Moss. The irony. Here's where it gets really strange. Elizabeth Moss, star of The Handmaid's Tale, a show literally about an oppressive religious regime controlling people's lives, is a practicing Scientologist. Raised in the organization by member parents, Moss has defended her involvement while acknowledging she doesn't discuss it much publicly. The irony isn't lost on critics who watch her play a woman fighting religious oppression while belonging to a group accused of similar control. Leah Remini, the whistleblower. But not everyone stays silent. Leah Remini, raised in Scientology from childhood, left in 2013 and became one of its most vocal critics. Her book, Troublemaker, and her Emmy-winning documentary series, Leah Remini, Scientology and the Aftermath, exposed alleged abuse, forced disconnection from family members, and harassment of those who leave. Now let's talk about something even darker, NXIVM. Pronounced Nexium, this group started as a self-help organization in 1998, but hid a horrifying secret. Allison Mack, from superhero to criminal. Allison Mack seemed to have it all. As Chloe Sullivan on Smallville, she was beloved by fans for playing a smart, capable hero. But in 2006, she joined NXIVM and her life took a devastating turn. What Mac didn't know, or what she eventually became complicit in, was that NXIVM's leader, Keith Raniere, had created a secret inner group called DOS. This wasn't just a self-help organization, it was a sex cult. Women in DOS were called slaves. They were required to provide nude photos as collateral. They were branded with Ranier's initials using a cauterizing pen without anesthesia. They were put on starvation diets of 500 to 800 calories per day. Aunt Allison Mack, she became second in command, directly recruiting women and controlling multiple slaves herself. In 2018, everything collapsed. Ranier was arrested in Mexico. Text messages and recordings revealed the horrifying reality. Mack had recruited women, telling them the branding was a gift. In 2019, Mack pleaded guilty to racketeering charges. At her sentencing in 2021, she finally spoke. "I am sorry to those of you that I brought into NXIVM. I am sorry I ever exposed you to the nefarious and emotionally abusive schemes of a twisted man." Allison Mack was sentenced to 3 years and released in 2023. Ranier, he's serving 120 years in prison. The children of God born into darkness. Some actors didn't choose their cult, they were born into it. The Children of God, founded in 1968, was a fundamentalist Christian group that evolved into something much more disturbing. Phoenix Family, a different kind of rebirth. But perhaps the most famous celebrity connection to the Children of God is the Phoenix family, specifically River and Joaquin Phoenix. Their parents joined in the early 1970s, and the children, River, Rain, Joaquin, Liberty, and Summer, were all born into the cult. The family served as missionaries in South and Central America, living in Venezuela and Puerto Rico. The children witnessed sexual activity and were exposed to adult situations no child should experience. But in 1978, their parents became disillusioned and made a brave decision. They fled with all 5 children. They changed their family name from Bottom to Phoenix, symbolizing rising from the ashes of their past. Before his tragic death in 1993, River Phoenix spoke about the experience, saying of the Children of God, "They're ruining people's lives." What made this group so destructive? They practiced something called flirty fishing, where female members were encouraged to use sex to recruit men, literally fishing for souls. This happened from 1974 to 1987. Numerous former members, especially children raised in the group, have alleged systematic sexual abuse. The leader's own son, Ricky Rodriguez, left the group and made a video detailing his abuse before tragically murdering his former nanny, a group member, and then taking his own life in 2005. The group still exists today as the Family International, claiming to have reformed, but skepticism remains high.